Hello everyone, this is Al. Along with me is Belinda, and so we thought we would take this time to sit here and do a short safety refresher on student management, and we hope that you find it of interest and that you learn a couple of things from this presentation. Let's take a look at the objectives that we're going to cover today. I won't read them for you. You go ahead and take a few seconds to kind of get a picture of these objectives so you will know what we'll be talking about as we proceed with the presentation. So having looked at the objectives, I'm going to ask Belinda to start by going over the next couple of slides with us. Go ahead, Belinda.
So let's talk about roadblocks to effective communications. When we confront our students, we give off verbal and nonverbal messages in the way we communicate. What is said and how it is said are both interpreted by the students. You know the saying, it's not your message, it's your delivery? Well, many times how it was said or the hidden meanings are much more important than the actual words themselves. So let's look at three types of negative messages. We have solution messages, put down messages, and indirect messages. So let's take a look at each one. So we have solution messages. Solution messages order people around. They tell people what to do, and nobody really likes that. The hidden message actually tells students, you are just too dumb to figure it out yourself. We have put down messages. People can be put down or belittled in a number of ways, by criticizing, blaming, or even name calling. But they're obvious ways, right? So let's look at some less obvious ways. How about reassure or agree with somebody, but in a very sarcastic, negative way? Also through questioning, probing, analyzing, and diagnosing in a negative or disregarding manner, one can create blocks in communications with students. They stop listening to you. The hidden message in the put down is that there's something wrong with you and you caused me a problem. Then we have indirect messages. Ignoring someone or kidding them or being sarcastic with them are all indirect messages. And the message here is, if I confront you directly, you may not like me.
Yeah, that's some good stuff there, Belinda. Let me add one more thing. There is, and this is really an important point that we need to remember, there is absolutely no place for sarcasm when an adult is dealing with a student. The adult will typically come out on the losing end of the stick, so we don't want sarcasm to be interjected in our communication with our students. So having talked about that, let's talk about tips on maintaining discipline. So the adults on the bus drivers, the bus attendants are the role models. You lead by example, you set the example for the students. Drivers, bus attendants can exhibit many behaviors to their passengers that will have either a positive or negative effect on their passengers' behavior. So really, the ball is always in your court. Bus drivers and bus attendants must strive to exhibit those behaviors which will help develop positive behaviors in their passengers. And of course, on the driver's side of the house, the drivers must always display good driving skills. Continuing on, never give an order that you don't mean to enforce. And if you do enforce it, it has to be done within the established rules, policies, regulations, and laws. Drivers and bus attendants really should demonstrate that they are in control and they are confident in their role as school transportation professionals. Students are more likely to have confidence in their bus team, or whether it be a driver or driver bus attendant team, if the team has confidence in themselves. Have a reason for what you ask students to do, and if appropriate, take time to give that reasons. The students can see the point if you see the point. Now, there will be times when a reason should not be given, and that is really a judgment issue. Strive to be constructive, not repressive in your dealing with students. Remember that a sense of humor is extremely valuable. Do not judge misconduct on how it annoys you. Never make all these issues on the school buses personal. It's not about you. Remember that. It is not about you. Never take your personal feelings or prejudices out on the students. That will come out. You never want to do that. And then you end up putting yourself between a rock and a hard place.
Always be honest in what you say or do. Remember, a student's faith is in you is a great help, and they'll know if you're not being honest with them. Be fair. It is not punishment but injustice that makes a student rebel against you, and they will pick up on that as well. Be friendly. Show an interest in what they are doing. Learn their names, refer to them by them. That goes a long way. Commend good qualities in action. Focus on the good things they did. You know, Al, I only had to tell you to sit down 3 times today. That's great. I bet tomorrow it'll be even less. Maintain poise at all times. Never lose your temper. We always talk about that conflict spiral. Do not get caught in it. Nobody wins. Look for good qualities. Everybody has something good in them. Find that. Praise that. Sometimes it's wiser to overlook some things. It's huge. Pick and choose your battles.
A lot of good tips, Belinda, a lot of good tips. So let's continue on. So you want to listen for suggestions and complaints from the students. You might learn a great deal about yourself. Never hold a student up to public ridicule. Try to always smile and be friendly. No one likes a grump driver or a grump bus attendant. There is nothing like a smile and a friendly hello. Try to present students with an option. You have to display authority, but do not be a dictator. The last thing we want are dictators on our buses. Be sure your students know the boundaries of acceptable and unacceptable behavior. That's why we have rules. Rules set the boundaries. Make every effort to learn your passengers' names, as Belinda alluded to, as soon as possible. I'm telling you, been doing this job for 20 years. The drivers and attendants who learn students' names early and communicate with them by their name have a lot less problems than drivers and attendants who never take the opportunity to learn names until it's too late. And keep a driver, bus attendant attitude, not a peer attitude. You don't need to prove anything to anybody on the transportation team, how tough you are or any of that. You must maintain that driver, bus attendant, professional attitude at all times. Let's talk about the NICE technique. This acronym is very easy to remember. First letter is N, stands for name. Introduce yourself and learn the student's name. Again, that same theme we just talked about. The I stands for interest. Take interest in students as individuals. Try to learn a couple, 2, 3 things about them, their likes, their dislikes. It will help you when you're dealing with problems on the bus. Consistency. Apply punishment and rules the same way every day to all passengers. They will pick up, they being the student, if you are showing inconsistency, if you're showing favoritism. They will pick up on that quickly, and then you will have problems. And E for effort. Make an effort to take pride in personal appearance, punctuality, attention to duties, adherence to regulations. Be friendly and be cheerful. Belinda.
So we just gave you a lot of good tips. So let's go over some do's and some don'ts of discipline. So let's look at some do's. Remember, always be courteous to your student. Like Al said, a smile goes a long way. Always control your temper. Again and again, we've talked about this. Do not get caught in that conflict spiral. Act the part of a person in a responsible position, conscious of your important job. What do we always say? We have the most precious cargo on our bus. Keep that in mind. Do everything possible to inform your students that they themselves have an important responsibility to ensure group safety. Make them part of your bus team. Give them a little job. Tell them, every day what their job is and how important it is to the bus team. Maintain close contact with principals and parents. Secure their cooperation. You learn a lot from parents. Use them. They're your most valuable asset when it comes to student management. Spot the few troublemakers and ask the principal what methods to employ if you are uncertain. Most likely, if they're a problem on your bus, they're a problem in school. So talk to the teachers, talk to the principals. How do they handle them? What can you do? And then seat any troublemakers near you within your vision so you can keep an eye on them. Be firm but fair and consistent. We talked about this. They will know if you are not treating everybody the same. So let's look at some don'ts. Don't try to be best buddies with students. Yes, be friendly, but you're not their friend. Don't be too lenient, but be fair. Let the punishment fit the crime. Don't make wisecracks. Again, no sarcasm. We never threaten, shout, or argue with students. Don't use physical force. Observe the policy of hands off. Don't create issues that have to be settled later. You want to try and deal with everything right then and there. Don't discipline students while the bus is in motion. Pull over if you need to. Don't assume everything is all right. Ask the follow-up questions. Make sure everything's okay. Don't make general statements to the entire busload of students when restoring order. Deal with what you need to directly. So let's look at passenger management team. We have the driver. The driver has the immediate responsibility because the students are under driver or bus attendant because the students are under direct supervision of the driver or bus attendant while being transported. We have the transportation supervisor. The transportation supervisor's responsibility is to provide helpful support and guidance to the driver in handling student management. Some of you have come to dispatch Bernie or Al and asked for an attendant if you didn't have one. That's what we're there for, to help you solve those issues. We have school administrators. The school administrator's responsibility is to follow through and take appropriate action or disciplinary problems reported by drivers. Administrative support is very important. Those can be principals, maybe the principal secretary that comes out to help you. Teachers. A student's teacher can play an important role by assisting the driver in better understanding the causes of problems a student might be having. This understanding will help determine an appropriate solution to the problem. In the past, Al has asked some teachers from Octay to come and speak to us, and I know you've all told me how much you've learned from them. So they also can be a valuable asset to you. Parents. Parents are legally responsible for the behavior of their children. Any behavioral problem must ultimately be solved through parent cooperation and assistance. The parent working with the school administrator must assure responsible behavior for their children. And then we have the students. And the student's responsibility is to follow the rules and regulations set forth by the state and local school system, assisting the driver through proper behavior, which will help assure a safe and efficient bus trip.
Wow, that was a mouthful, Belinda. So much important stuff, though, that we really need to know and stay on top of. So let's talk a little bit about rules. Rules are there, again, to give a sense of direction. Rules establish parameters, and young people require those parameters. They have to be applied fairly to every student. Can't pick and choose or show favoritism in the application of the bus rules. You must control your emotions when applying these rules. Again, you're the adult in the store, right? You're the adult. You're the captain of the ship. You have to maintain control. You can't lose control over your own emotions. Your approach must be one of caring about student safety, not simply because an infraction of the rules occurred. You have to be consistent in the application of the rules. Consistency is key, folks. Always use planned ignoring. We've talked about that many times in our department safety meetings. And that's because students will test your limits to see if they can get you going. So not every infraction of the rules must lead to a fight between you and the students. And a lot of you like to fight about feet in the aisle. I ask you this question: if the bus is going down the road, you're moving, right? And everybody is seated, nobody is standing, nobody's beating up on it, but you see about half a dozen kids with one foot out in the aisleway. Why would you want to now take your eyes off of the looking outside that bus, right, and start looking inside that interior mirror, looking back at the bus, and start getting in fights with student over a foot in the aisleway? The bus is moving. It is not a safety issue. A foot in the aisleway, for example, becomes a safety issue when students are either embarking or disembarking your bus. That's when you get on them for that. Remember, no one technique that will work on all students, because each student is different. That's why you got to learn your students as quickly as you can, right? Not just their names, what they like, what they don't like, how far, can they be pushed, or whatever the case might be. Different age groups must be handled differently. You can't treat a fifth grader like you treat a kindergarten, and so on. So before we close, and as you can see here, really, and this is heartfelt, we thank you for being the best school transportation professionals. You all rock. And if you use social media, I encourage you to use the hashtag #ShenStrong. I appreciate all that you are going through during these difficult times. And I hope the emails we're putting out, and I hope that this probably 17 to 20 minute presentation is helpful to you. I hope it keeps you focused on who you are as a school transportation professional. And what I would like from you is, as soon as you're done with this presentation, to email me and Judy Mayfield and let us know that you've watched it. And really, give me your thoughts. I would appreciate your thoughts. We can certainly do more of this between now and the end of the school year. Don't know if we'll be back. I'm hoping we'll be back on April the 13th or 30th. If not, then we can continue doing these kinds of refreshers for you. Belinda, do you have anything else you would like to add?
I do. I, along with you, have been in this business for many, many, many years, and I honestly say that this team is the best transportation team I've worked with, and I've worked with others. So calling you guys and checking in was awesome. I was so happy to hear from you, and it sounded like you were happy to hear from us. So I look forward to the day that we can finally be back. And please stay safe, and take care.
All right, Belinda, one more time. Ready? Shen Strong.